From Fox 56 News, the weather authority, this is a severe weather alert.
Meteorologist Justin Estill here again with Fox 56 Weather Authority. We have a tornado warning now being issued for portions of the Bluegrass. It is currently just north of North Middletown in Bourbon County. This is now until 2:15 p.m. this afternoon. It also includes very southern portions of Nicholas County at this time. This is radar indicated, but it has been told on National Weather Service's chat that there was some damage being reported in that area. So we're going to keep an eye on what is to come with this severe thunderstorm and this tornado warning. It is moving to the east right now at about 35 miles an hour. We're going to try to take a closer look at this here as we get into the backside of this storm. The most likely point where we're seeing some rotation is probably somewhere in this little notch here. So again, if you are inside of Bourbon County, North Middleton to Little Rock, Plum, Bunker Hill, you need to be in your safe place right now. This is a radar indicated tornado warning at this time, and we're going to have to continue to monitor what is to come from this. We're going to try to pull up some velocity readings for you so we can try to pinpoint where this potential tornado is. And it's not very good here on velocity as we take a look. We're getting some interference, it looks like. We've got some greens meeting, and this is towards the Wilmington radar scene. So to the north is toward, away is going to be in these grays and reds. So somewhere in that backside of that system, that cell, we are going to be seeing the potential for some rotation. Little Rock to Plum to Bunker Hill, you need to be in your safe place. Right now, our potential tornado is going to be in between Little Rock and Plum at this time. We can see that there is some rotation defined here. It's not a very tight signature, but there is the potential. So this is now shooting from the Jackson radar screen, and that last scan actually just tightened it up. We've got rotation towards the radar scene there, and we've got rotation away here in the red. That is indicating that there is some rotation. There is the possibility that we have tornadic activity in place right now. Not confirmed at this time, but we are going to keep an eye on this. This is a dangerous situation here nonetheless. Let's try to get a closer view here between Levy Road and Cane Ridge Road, right outside of Plum, just to the west of Plum. I'm going to turn off these lighting bolts here so we can keep a close eye on this, and I'm going to try to zoom it out just a touch so we can see. Right outside of Plum, between Plum and Little Rock on Cane Ridge Road, and there between Gillespie Road and Levy Road. It's going to be moving towards Bunker Hill Road at this time. If you are on Bunker Hill, you're just outside of that warning, but you need to also be in your safe place. This is where we have the most well-defined rotation. Again, just like this and just like that, towards and away, the likelihood is that we've got something that could be on the ground in that location. No confirmed reports of that at this time, but again, this is going to be moving to the east at about 35 miles an hour, so I'm going to try to put a tracker on this for you right from where that rotation is going, and I'm going to see if I can get it all the way. I don't think I'm going to quite make it, so I'm going to try to redraw that for us here. Let me zoom out just a touch and move this a little further away from my body here. All right, now we'll get it going. 35 miles an hour, like so. Okay, so these are the areas, Sharpsburg and Owingsville, 217 and 232. That's the direction it's moving. If I try to zoom in a little bit more on some areas that are here, we're going to be seeing that continue to move to the east. Latest scan just came in there, so because this is a tornado warning, whether confirmed or not, we're going to have to stay on this until either that rotation lessens up and that tornado warning drops, or until we get a new warning to come out of it. I do want to quickly zoom out just to check on what's coming our way off to the west. There's more stuff near Bardstown and Lebanon that we're going to have to keep an eye on too, moving towards the area. And again, anticipating a pretty active scene here this afternoon, but our main point of focus is still going to be there near Bourbon County as well as parts of Nicholas County. And we still have some very weak, not terribly well-defined rotation in that zone, but we do have that tornado warning here until 2:15 p.m. It is currently right now, I don't have a watch on. Let me just step off. I'm going to check the time. 2:07 p.m. I also want to check our chat here to see if there is any reports from this. Again, this is just outside of Plum right now. Bunker Hill, Little Rock, Plum, you all need to be in your safe place. Sharpsburg, you might as well get down as well, because we are anticipating the chance for more of that light rotation. And it looks like we just got another update, and quite a big update here with the latest scan coming in. Let me put out the regular radar here so we can see there's a severe thunderstorm warning now as well For the counties buttoned up right next to that. Montgomery County until 2:30 p.m. just north of Mount Sterling. You're also inside that. Bath and Morgan counties as well till 2:30 p.m. from Owingsville to Salt Lick. And there is a tornado possible tag with this. 60-mile-an-hour winds and hail up to 1 inch at this time as this storm continues to move to the east. And again, it was moving about 35 miles an hour there just a moment ago. The latest scan says that is now moving 40 miles an hour to the east. So we're going to want to keep a close eye on how that is going to progress for us too. I'm going to come back in here now. It doesn't look like I have any damage updates at this time. I'm not seeing anything roll across our chats at this moment, but it does look like we're going to hold on to this tornado warning for now until it crosses into that next county line. So we're going to stay with this here just until that tornado warning expires at least, and then see what is coming in, because we're going to want to watch that rotation that was on radar. I'm going to go back to the Jackson Radar Center. I'm going to use the storm relative velocity here. That's the best indicator of rotation within the storm, and we're going to get a closer zoom in on where that possible rotation is. Potentially right here still, in fact, looking pretty broad, pretty weak. The areas that we would expect to see is probably right in here where we've got the greens and the reds together. So just to the east of Plum now, somewhere in there we would see that rotation potentially wiggling itself down to the ground. Now, one thing to note here, that's right along, I'm going to try to pronounce these right, Gillespie Road there, and it is moving to the east. So it is going to continue to work up Sharpsburg Road there, Peyton's Lick Road, anything in between there, even as far south as Rogers Mill Road, Sissel Road, Rogers Mill Road going all the way over to this highway here, Veterans Memorial Parkway, it looks like, or highway there. That is the path that this is taking at this time. So we're going to want to be in our safe place even in there. Everything from Bethel to Sharpsburg to Mount Sterling all the way through Owingsville. You're in a severe thunderstorm warning until 2:30 p.m. That's another 21 minutes, but it is now just crossing out of portions of Bourbon County at this time. So we've got some time with this system, only moving to the east at 40 miles an hour. So let me pull this back up. We're going to put a tracker on it here. You can see a pretty well-defined cell coming in. There's another one just behind it here that is going to be moving towards North Middletown again. So you're not completely in the clear, at least from severe thunderstorm type weather. Make sure that you're still in your safe place, even if this tornado warning expires. We've got another strong storm right behind it that is going to lead to more of the same. At least in terms of some strong wind gusts and potentially some damaging hail. So just a quick peek. I want to make sure I look off to the west. We still got just a little bit of time before that severe thunderstorm warning gets to places like Harrodsburg, Danville, and Stanford, and those counties just on the west side of our viewing area. So stand by for more on that. We are anticipating seeing that as well. We've got Chief Meteorologist Justin Logan prepping right now. It looks like he's getting ready to back up here, so he'll be able to provide some insight. But I'm going to zoom back in on this cell, the one that is now exiting that tornado warning area in Bourbon and parts of Nicholas County, and it's moving into places in Montgomery and Bath County at this time. Let's go ahead, throw on the tracker, moving to the east at 40 miles an hour. I'm going to draw that line and get it on here for you so you can see when it is expected to reach that area. And it does something a little goofy, so we'll try to redraw it. Let me put that off if it will let me. And there we go. Drawing that in here, moving to the east at 40 miles an hour. Got it right there. So we've got about 15 minutes for Owingsville, Lakeview Heights, about a half hour at this time, only moving 40 miles an hour to the east. That's not to say that some of this doesn't curl down towards places like Mount Sterling or even a little bit further south. So if you are in southern portions of Bath County as well as Montgomery County, you still need to be in that safe place because we're seeing that thunderstorm activity continue to work towards you. One more time back to the rotation, because this does have a tornado tag on it. Can't go until that tornado warning fully expires. We've got to stay on air for that because it's still in place and we've still got rotation. So again, you need to be in the lowest level, the middle, the most central room of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outdoors as you can. When we have situations like this, these are kind of pesky storm types of modes here. We've got this small, what looks like pretty broad, weak rotation now past Bunker Hill, Plum, and Little Rock, but still showing a little bit of that rotation. And what these tend to do is they tend to trickle down. They might be able to touch down for a brief moment, a very brief moment, and then go right back up. And that's when we get this kind of weakened rotation in there. It's broad, it's starting to diffuse away a little bit, and it's just south and west of Sharpsburg, between Judy and Sharpsburg right now. Latest scan has broadened that even more. That's a good sign for us. That means that that tornado or that rotation is weakened quite a bit here with this cell. So while we hold on tight here to see how the rest of this is going to play out, we've got to track that just in case. There's not going to be any all clear sign from this by any means as we go through the rest of at least the next 15 to 20 minutes, because this could tighten up again as it continues to move. We don't have an active tornado warning for the counties of Bath and Montgomery. It's just a severe thunderstorm warning until 2:30 p.m. as this storm moves to the east at 40 miles an hour. For Bourbon County as well as for Nicholas County, 2 minutes until that tornado warning expires. I wouldn't say get out of your safe place. Stay there for now as we go in, because we want to make sure that this completely clears the county before we get into any kind of safety modes. It does look like the main core is moving out, but there's another one right behind it. Now that one does have frequent lightning as well as what looks like to be some heavy rainfall in those purple shaded areas, but it does look a little poorly formed. So I'm not seeing, when we were on rotation there, anything come out of that cell. So right now that is just a thunderstorm at this time, but it's moving to the same area where we just had that tornado warning. So stay in the safe place from there. I'm going to zoom back out just to see if we've got any other updates here along that cell that's coming in. We've touched on that. We're going to leave it just for a moment because we're going to go back and check in on Louisville at this time, at least that radar scene, because we've got plenty of activity. Scattered showers and thunderstorms developing, more individual cells to the southeast. We've got some going through Jessamine County right now, moving towards Richmond, in fact, too. But this is the next thing that we're going to want to focus on as it gets a little bit closer. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning just outside of our viewing area here from Springfield to Lebanon, and it has got lots of scattered lightning. It's got these little notches in it as well. There's an active tornado warning that is set to expire shortly in that zone as well. So this is buttoned right up next to our viewing area, and we will anticipate that getting extended here at some point as we go through. Looks like Chief Justin Logan is in and ready to go. Chief, do you have any information or updates for us?
Well, so far what you're saying there, I mean, we're seeing that the rotation with that tornado warning that was issued for eastern Bourbon County and southeastern Nicholas County has, again, really kind of weakened out. But in this situation, you can get a quick spin up in a short amount of time. And just right as we were switching over here, Justin, it looks like a new tornado warning is just issued. Now, this does include some of our western counties. We're going to zoom in a little bit closer here and show you what we're looking at. This includes Boyle County and the northern part of Casey County. That tornado warning goes until 2:45. It's for a small area. You can see there this whole line. It's for the storm that's back here on top of Lebanon right now, which is in Marion County. We'll zoom in a little bit closer, and I'll get that again expires at 2:45. I want to show you the wind inside that storm, and this is why that they issued this. We'll switch radar sources because I'm looking at the radar that's further into eastern Kentucky. There you go. You can see where we've got the shades there, where the bright shades of red are winds going away from the radar. The green, there's not a lot showing there, but if I go over into storm relative velocity, it's going to change direction a little bit. Not a ton, but on that leading edge of those winds kind of changing direction, you could quickly get a spin up tornado that's on the leading edge of that. So if you live along 68 from Lebanon points east, we need to go ahead and get you in your safe spot. That's the lowest floor of your home, a bathroom, into an interior room, a closet, a room without windows. If you have a basement, that's obviously the best place to go. This storm that is potentially radar indicated, capable of producing a tornado, is back in Marion County. So it's not even in Boyle. It's not even in Casey County yet. Let me give you the speed that new tornado warning is moving.
It's going, I had it up here just a moment ago. Where to go? 40 miles an hour, I believe. 35 miles an hour.
35?
Yep.
So a track on the front edge of that from Lebanon, kind of give a little headway there, moving east at 40. So that's going to be putting it, again, Perryville at 242. That's going to be at Houstonville at 253, Danville at 256, and Stanford at 305. So that's that particular storm. But if we kind of reset, it looks like we still have, obviously, the tornado warning that is expired in southeastern Bourbon and southeastern Nicholas County, and now we have a severe thunderstorm warning, it looks like, off to the east that's still in place that Justin was running down with a tornado possible. That goes for the northern part of Montgomery and over into Bath County, and that goes until, we'll put it on the screen, until 2:30. But you can see there on that storm even, there's still little signs that of some rotation that's popping up with that storm here just off to the west of Owensville. So we'll put a track on both of these. That storm is moving east. So if you live in Owensville, even if you live in Mount Sterling, you need to go indoors until this storm has passed on by. And it's also, is that storm moving at its same speed, 35 to 40?
It was about 40, yep, 35 to 40.
Okay, so off to the east at about 40. So that's going to be putting this storm here, Owensville at 225, Salt Lick at 238, and Moorhead at 251. Again, that's obviously some of the larger communities or cities there, and we can actually show you as we look at this particular storm, we can throw on even some smaller communities in there. So Reynoldsville now, Stepstone 224, Slate Valley 228, Preston 230, and Colfax about 235. So that's something that we're going to continue to watch with that particular storm. But for folks that may just be tuning in, a little bit of a reset, we're looking at storms kind of popping everywhere. But the only two warnings that we have, severe thunderstorm warning for Montgomery and Bath, and a tornado warning that's in effect for Boyle and northern Casey counties until 2:45. And that storm, Justin, is still well outside of our viewing area, but it's giving enough headway, all right, enough lead time on that storm as it rolls in.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to see this too. The atmosphere is pretty charged up here this afternoon. That's going to already prompt us with a lot of opportunities for these little spins to take place. I want to just show you while we briefly take a break from radar. I want to show you what we've got here for our watch. That's everybody is going to be inside of that watch here, except our very northern counties. But that's despite the point. We've got potential for severe thunderstorms all across as this system moves through. But everybody is in this watch until 8 p.m. That means we've got the ingredients and we're ready to have these storms continue to pose that severe threat through the rest of this evening. And we've had this here today. It's been upgraded once already, but these are just coming into our level 2 risk zone. We have even a level 3 risk zone in areas where these storms have not gotten to yet. So you need to take this severe thunderstorm watch seriously and be prepared to seek shelter as these storms roll through, because we actually have a little bit more instability and a little more juice in that level 3 zone. Outside of these thunderstorms are just getting going, and we're expecting them to continue to be strong, if not intensify even a little bit further as they work into south and central portions of the state here today. Just one more thing for you so you know, we've already got tornado warnings on there. Wind, hail, and heavy rain are all in the mix for us here as we go through the rest of this afternoon. Let's just jump right back though to the radar scene so we can see what's going on. One more note for you here. This is coming from the Louisville radar site, so it's insinuating that we've got, and I think, make sure my thing's working here. This is going towards radar, and this is going away. So we've got that broad rotation, but we don't have a lot of the greens and reds in this area that are really tight and really touching. So that's a broader rotation signature for us, indicating that there is some rotation there. That's definitely enough to keep a warning in play, and it's good that we've got it out this far because this is good leeway time. So if you are between Perryville and down from Houston, even Hustonville there, we're going to want you in your safe spot, the most interior room on the lowest level of your home, or whatever storm shelter that you have in place. You're going to want to get there until this storm passes. Again, it's in play for us here until 2:45 p.m. So we've got another good 25 minutes to watch this thing roll into the area. We're going to go back to the home view here so you can see what's going on. We're going to, this is just because we've got tornado tornado warnings. We've got to stick with it. It's a life-threatening situation when we've got those warnings on. That's why we keep on them here. So let's see what else we've got on radar, kind of resetting back. If I can get the thing to work, there we go. We're going to go back to the Louisville radar scene so you can see more of the widespread scattered showers and storms coming through. Let's zoom back into the one that we had here up in portions of Bath County and Montgomery County. Now getting right up next to Owingsville. This thing is right on the edge. Let me turn the lightning scene back on for us here. We've got some lightning coming out of that, some heavier rain in those darker purples. And if we go back to storm relative velocity from the Jackson site, this is a good clean look for us here. There's nothing real defined. There's not a lot of greens, meaning there's not a lot going towards the radar, which is a good scene for us. Just some strong winds likely here on that leading edge of that storm as it moves in. So still a severe thunderstorm warning, still need to be in our safe place. This is the look from the Jackson site as well to show that even though we didn't have well-defined rotation, we've got a little notch right here. That's likely where we're going to be seeing some of the stronger winds. That's also where we could see some of that rotation come back. So we're not completely out of the woods on the rotation scene on this storm either, but it is moving right into parts of Owingsville right now in the north and western parts of Owingsville, actually right near Reynoldsville. The heaviest rain is right in there, some lightning in there, and our notch, which we need to keep a closer eye on, is moving just into southern portions of Reynoldsville here. East Tunnel Hill Road to Flat Creek Road, you're probably in the spot that's going to see some of the strongest wind gusts as well as the chance for some of that light rotation to come back in. I do want to just peek at this one more time just to make sure. So this is where we have the brief little tiny bits of rotation here, right actually where that notch was. So here and here, but it's very broad. That's a good sign for us. So that's something we're going to want to keep a close eye on too as we continue to work and watch these storms come in. Justin, do you want to go ahead and take us back to that one that's moving just into the western portions of the area and get a check on that?
Yes, we'll look at both of these here. The one storm that we're tracking off to the west here that's coming out of Marion County now, that is the only tornado warning that we have going for you right now. That tornado warning goes for Boyle County and northern Casey County until 2:45. And it's for this part of the storm here that, again, still east of Lebanon. If we switch our radar sites here, and this is going to give us a little bit clearer picture as to what we're talking about a little bit further off to the west, the velocity, you can see, wow, very bright, strong, at least straight line winds here that are coming out of Marion County and are going to be coming into western parts of Boyle County. Let me zoom in. We'll give you some roads here. This is going to be on US 34 and moving its way into the far western part of Boyle County. So we're talking about Brumfield community. We're also talking about Cranetown, Alliston, also Forkland. These small communities, Gravel Switch, also an area. This is where the potential tornado, we say potential because we do not have any confirmation with this that a tornado is on the ground. So that gives you plenty of, lead time to get to your safe place. But if you live anywhere into the western part of Boyle County, that does not include Danville. This is still way a ways from you. This includes, as we just mentioned, the Alliston area, smaller communities that are in the path of that storm. Let me show you, though, storm tracks and see if we have any that are actually popping up, and this will actually kind of give us a little bit of a head track for you. A lot of lightning associated with this storm out here. So it is a powerful storm, regardless of there being a tornado. We've probably still for sure have some 60+ mile per hour wind gusts coming into the western part of Boyle County that can obviously bring trees down, can do some damage on its own there. So that alone is moving east into western Boyle and northern Casey County here. That tornado warning till 2:45. So it's 2:26. So we're talking about a little more than about 15 minutes to go, 15-20 minutes on that particular warning. Now let me reset this for you and go back up to the other storm that we're watching. This is the one for our friends that are living up here into parts of, again, now it's really moving out of Montgomery County and going over into Bath County. You'll notice the bright reds here. All right, we look for reds and greens next to each other if we're talking about the potential for a tornado. So what we're looking at here is some rotation coming into Owensville right now. So anyone watching us in Owensville, you need to be in your safe place until the storm passes on by. And what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of go back and show you what some safer places that you need to be during particular dangerous situations. I want to look at a couple of our cameras here. This is at the ARIS camera, and this is going to show the storm as it's working its way into parts of Bourbon County right now. Now we're looking, yes, still some heavier rain, but the severe part of that storm has exited. So some places that you need to obviously go. Where is your best, safest place to go if you're under a tornado warning? Well, obviously the best place is going to be a basement. If you don't have a basement, the next best place to be is obviously the lowest floor of your home, and that's going to be into an interior room, away from windows, like a bathroom, a closet, a room without windows. So when we say put as many walls between you and the outside part of your home, this is exactly what we're talking about. So say this is the outside of your home, you got one wall and you have two walls to where that bathroom is. If your bathroom has windows, you don't want to go there, okay? You want to find a room without windows. Interior room, away from windows, lowest floor of your home, and oftentimes that is going to be a bathroom or a closet. So I want to go back to live radar mode here, and this is with the storm that's still west. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't extend the severe thunderstorm warning a little bit further off to the east, at least for parts of Mercer County. Still a gustier storm coming in there, but at least at the moment we're not seeing that storm is at least at severe levels, but it's very close and something that we've been watching and will continue to watch. But I want to zoom in still one more time to this storm that is working its way out of Marion County and into the western part of Boyle County. So here's Perryville. Here's Danville right here. This is 127, so it's going north or south. We're watching along 68, but also 34. So we're working into the western part of Boyle County. You're getting into places like Alliston. You're getting into Gravel Switch, which is just back to the west into parts of Marion County there. All those smaller communities, you need to be into an interior room and away from windows. I'm going to put a storm track on this momentarily, but this is some of the smaller communities like Brumfield, Alliston. There's Gravel Switch. Here's Forkland. If you live in these areas or know someone that does, give them a call. Say, hey, there's a tornado warning for your area. Not sure if you know, but you need to get to your safe place right now, because some people may not be aware. They may not have multiple ways to get weather information, and we want them to know about that. I want to put a track on as this moves off to the east at about 40 miles an hour. Let me go back in and show you the winds inside this particular storm. Rotation still showing up there. Storm relative, it is definitely still there. A track on the front edge of this, it's going to move it off to the east at about 40. So let me do a little cone on here, and we'll move it off to the east here at 40 miles an hour. So that's obviously going across the western part of Boyle County. And looking at some of the larger communities, we're talking about Danville there coming at 255 and Stanford at 302. So obviously that's way down the line if that rotation were to hang on and work its way over into Garrett County. But right now, only northern Casey, and I do mean northern Casey, and south and western parts of Boyle County, only two areas right now that are inside that polygon for you right now. I want to look at, looks like on that northern side, it's...
Sorry to cut you off. We got two new thunderstorm warnings that we got to go touch on there. One going across Richmond in parts of Madison County, excuse me, and then the Owingsville area has just had theirs extended too on top of it. So we've got a couple more to look at real quick. I'm just trying to grab the speed. They all have the tornado possible tag on them at this time, folks, which means that there is the potential for some rotation. We've got a general storm motion for all of these, Chief, that are going about 30 miles an hour to the east at this time. So that's what we're going to be watching here. Just quickly to touch, this is just north of Richmond at this time, and we're going to continue to see this Madison County thunderstorm warning until 3:15 p.m. So that's just more activity coming in for us here till 3:15 p.m. moving to the east generally at about 35-40 miles an hour right along northern parts of Richmond. So if you're in Richmond, you need to seek the shelter immediately. These wind gusts can reach everywhere inside this box, but we're going to be seeing mainly 60-mile-an-hour winds, 1-inch hail, and the potential for some rotation. Now, we've got that with pretty much every storm that we're going to have today, so we're going to want to keep close eyes eyes here on what that storm relative looks like. Messy out of the Louisville side. So let's go from the Jackson County side. This is some rotation. It's a little further from the site, so this is probably elevated a little bit, but that certainly does look like some rotation on this storm, meaning the entire cell is likely rotating. Let me draw it up for you here so you can see what I mean. We've got rotation towards here, and we've got rotation away there. That means that we've got it coming through in this general area just like that. Now, it's not terribly tight, but this is noticeably good rotation for us, even if it is on the broader scale. So what we're going to want to keep an eye on is for the potential of some of that. You need to be anywhere north of Richmond along 25, any of the northern city neighborhoods in that city, and everything is sending all the way to the end of Madison County. In fact, J-Lo, I don't like how this is progressing on radar at this time with that increase in some of that velocity here. So we're really going to want to keep a close eye to see. You need to be down because this is some very strong rotation at this point. It's not as tight as we would like to see it. Let me just go back here quickly to this piece so you can see.
Yeah, you can see that.
And that's a notch. This is potentially dangerous here. We'll see if they issue a tornado warning or not. But rotation, I'm seeing it. I'm going to say go ahead and get down and get down now because this is not a good scene for us when we have these little hooks and notches in there. Despite a warning or not, I'm going to go ahead and call you and say you need to get down if you're on the northern side of Richmond. Anywhere in this box, we've got tight rotation, and we're going to need to keep an eye on that. It's moving to the east right now at 40 miles an hour. I'm going to hold that here. J-Lo's got another one for you. He's going to touch on that Owensville area.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye on this one while he does that.
All right, so back over into Bath County, this part of the storm, is really the rotation right on top of Owensville. Still a bit of broad rotation, but the indication is that, yes, this is stronger than what it has been or what it was when we were last on this storm. So everybody in Owensville, if you live in P-Sticks, if you live in Polksville, this is going to be riding east right along pretty much US 60. So anywhere along US 60 and north in Bath County, you need to be on the lowest floor of your home and away from windows. If we're able in the back to get up that Madison County, the Richmond camera that they have that's free and readily available. If you guys can hear us and get that pulled up, because we don't have access into our system, that'll give us something that we can actually look at with that particular storm, okay? So that's the one that Justin was tracking. It's in Madison County, and a new tornado warning down to the south here. And this is going to be going from, again, they extended the tornado warning from Danville, northern Casey, and it's now also going into Lincoln County. Let me show it to you right here. This is what the rotation looks like. We're going to switch to storm relative. You can see this portion of the storm, I should say, rotation still a bit broad, but it's still here nonetheless, and you can get a spin-up tornado in a hurry. Still no reports of that on the ground, because if we had reports, this red polygon would actually turn purple. So thankfully, no reports yet, just radar indicated, but anytime we see radar showing rotation like this, we want you guys to get into your safe room and in your safest place away from windows. Let me put a track on this storm, then we're going to go back to the one for the folks, literally. That storm in Richmond is just strengthening, okay? Because that part of the storm does not, just south of the atmosphere, has not really been tapped into much yet. So looking at this storm here, Houstonville at 247, Stanford at 258, Lancaster at 307, and Crab Orchard at 312. So that's for the storm that's coming into western Boyle County, and it's right on Boyle and also northern Casey County line and moving east. So everybody here into southern Boyle, including, I would still say, even including Danville, all the way up into Houstonville and over even now into Garrett and Lincoln counties, be in your safe place right now. Justin, you're watching that storm again back over toward Richmond.
Yeah, I got that one. We've got 2 or 3 other severe thunderstorm warnings that are popping up. Again, the atmosphere is pretty charged up here for us. They just put the tornado warning out for that cell in Richmond. As we were noting, there was a lot of rotation. This storm is individual. If you are in Richmond, get down right now. This is a severe severe thunderstorm coming at you. It's got the tornado warning now on it until 3:15 p.m. We're going to jump right over to the velocity signature because this is important. That is a very defined signature, and this is a very dangerous situation. We don't have confirmation that this is a tornado on the ground, but there is a very good potential that we do have some of that rotation reaching the ground with a signature like this. Again, not confirmed, but we do have a very strong rotation here. If you are anywhere north of Arlington, Hillcrest, Union City, you need to get down right now. Red House to Hillcrest to Richmond, Arlington, get in your safe place. This is crossing 25 at this time on Lexington Road there. It is going anywhere, I would say, just north Clay Lane up there. We got Three Forks Road in the way of this. Red House Road, Union City Road. Excuse my button pushing here. We're going to keep on this end. And it's literally crossing Lexington Road and 25 right now. And this is likely the location that we are seeing some very strong rotation toward here. We've got a way there, and that is green touching red. When green touches red, we get under the bed. We get into our lowest level, the most interior room. We've got a very strong signature of rotation here and the strong potential of a tornado being down on the ground. Again, no confirmation of that, but this is a pretty strong view that that could be taking place. The system, this whole storm, still moving about 40 miles an hour. Let me get the right buttons pushed here. 40 miles an hour to the east. So I'm going to try to zoom out enough so that we can get a tracker on this so you can see where you need to be. Again, particularly ugly look here. If Chief could pull off the buttons there. There we go. We're going, oh, and it just missed it. One more time here. Sorry about that. Here we go. 40 miles an hour to the east, or 35 to 40, we'll call it. This is what we're seeing. So it's not picking up any of the communities at this time. For some reason, the button's not working, but we'll just zoom back in because this is a pretty strong rotating storm here. And we've got a lot on radar. So let me just finish up on this, and then we're going to take a quick look at what else is coming. Red House to Hillcrest, Richmond, you need to be in the safe place. Right now, this is crossing 25 at this time. We've got reds and greens and very bright colored greens, in fact, on there that are touching together, meaning that that's where our rotation is and the potential for tornadic activity on the ground at this time. Again, Hillcrest, Red House, Union City, Doylesville, smaller communities there. Reed Crossing, even Moberly, Elliston, College Hill, everybody in that red polygon needs to be in there. EKU even showing up on the map. This is north of there, but I still want you in your safe place because this could take a turn in any direction it feels like as it continues to work to the east. And that is the strongest signature, even the latest one coming in here. This is very, very good rotation, and in a bad way for us here, that means you need to be in the safe place. Chief, I don't know, do you have anything else that we need to take an urgent look at right now, or can we hold on to this?
Well, I'm looking at that storm over here. We've got a weather camera that is live in Madison County that's on the BAM here. Not in that area yet because it's in Richmond. So that storm is going to be passing just north of the Richmond area. So we're watching all of those storms. We've got several out there for you to track. If we can go back to the radar on links 2, because I want to show you that since we're not seeing anything on that vantage point, definitely lots of clouds. That one storm that Justin was tracking, this is definitely our strongest rotation so far of the afternoon. And we're obviously not going to forget our other storms. You can see now we have a spinning twisting of the wind signature that the radar is showing up right there. This is showing that we have a BTI, which is a tornado index of a 3.7. That goes on a scale from a 1 all the way up to a 10, basically. So don't get caught up in the number. Usually when we get a number that's at least approaching a 4, there can be a tornado on the ground. So let's look at some of the timing here. Arlington, we're looking at you. You need to be in your safe place now. Arlington, 246, and it's 240. Red House community, Union City, Doylesville, Elliston, all need to be in your safe spot. Let me show you just down to the south. Again, this is passing just north of downtown Richmond. I can clear that off and we can show you that the greatest rotation is going to pass just north of the city, and I mean just barely. So everybody, even in Okay, so this is downtown Richmond. I've got it zoomed in down to street level. You can see EKU is listed on here. We'll go on to street level. So sometimes the radar beam can be off just a bit. I mean, by a mile or so. So anybody, even Richmond, I don't care if the warning is there or it's drawn far enough south. I want Richmond northward. Anyone in Richmond to Hillcrest all the way over into the northeastern part of Madison County to be in the lowest floor of your home, okay? Anytime we see this signature, and we've been watching this before the warning was issued, anytime you see these reds and greens next to each other, and we've got a what we call gate-to-gate shear, okay? This is strong winds that are going toward the radar here, off to the east in Jackson, and the red are winds that are going away from it. Right next to each other, we have a blue pixel, which is on the legend up here, are stronger winds that are moving toward the radar next to each other. So we don't have confirmation yet, but this is the strongest rotation so far today. And if there is a potential for any tornado to be on the ground so far, this could be it. So this is not your time to let's go outside and look like our human nature. Let me see if I can see it. Let me see, is it out here? You don't want to do that, all right? Because even though this is going at about 35 to 40 miles an hour off to the east here, I want you to be taking shelter. Don't look, don't wait. Basement, if you don't have that basement, I want you in a hallway on the lowest floor of your home, an interior room like a closet, like a bathroom. Get some pillows, get the helmets, cover up, put the helmets on the kids, the bike helmets, the football helmets, all that. That's going to give you an extra shield of protection more than what your hands can do. Here's the latest track here looking that BTI, that tornado index is still at a 3.7, so still somewhat on the weak to moderate side, but these communities, the timing hasn't changed. It's coming. Union City 255, Doylesville 302, and Bloomingdale there at 310. So that's your headway or your lead time there as that storm is moving east. Do you have any new information there, Justin?
We have what we would consider somewhat of a debris signature showing up if we're looking at the model. This is a debris detector in a way, and what we typically look for on here is to see a lot of differentiation in a tight location from the general colors that are on the map. So if we take a close look at this is suggesting that there are a lot of different particles within that rotation in a small zone. There is a good chance that we have something on the ground here when we've got rotation and we've got a signature like this. It's not confirmed, but I would tell you right now that this is likely a tornado on the ground. Not confirmed, but likely on the ground. Richmond, Hillcrest, Arlington, Union City, Reeds Crossing, Moberly. I mean, this is about as real as it gets when it comes to seeing the tornado signatures showing up for us. This debris detector is suggesting that there is something getting flung around within that rotation, and that is certainly a good sign that we have possibly a tornado on the ground. So we need to take this very seriously here as we continue to work through it. And again, it's still in the vicinity of that northern edge of the Richmond loop there from 25 going around. I believe that whatever road that might be, that is the case when we got it right near there. We've also have it near Union City. I mean, this is Doylesville to Union City. You are up next if you are in Union City or just south of there, as this continues to ride right through the heart of Madison County. And this is likely the most important storm we've got on radar at this time, because as I zoom out, we can see there's some warnings down in Pulaski and McCreary. They've got severe thunderstorms, 60-mile-an-hour winds, 1-inch hail, the potential for some rotation. Same with just south of Hazard. There is also in Perry County till 3 p.m. a severe thunderstorm warning. But this is our most important point of emphasis at this time. Not forgetting about those up in Rowan till 3:15. You still got a severe thunderstorm warning. We've got to stay on this one though, because we've likely got a tornado on the ground. Again, not confirmed at this time, but this signature is certainly indicating that here. Again, now it's slowing down a little bit. 30 miles an hour to the east was the last reading that I had when I was just looking on our points there a moment ago. So I'm going to throw another track on this while Justin gets something else set up over there, and we're going to put this out 30 miles an hour. It's likely going past the warning box a little bit. And again, a lot of small communities in here. So this this is having a tough time picking up on where is where. So I will zoom in so we can see a little bit better where this rotation is going to be impacting. Again, Union City's in their College Hill. Even outside of this, from Log Lick all the way down to Fox, Mena, some areas we might not touch on very often, this rotation is still moving towards you. And if you look here too, it's dead center in the middle of that box. They just updated it. It does look like the rotation is broadening a little bit, but we still got a lot to focus on with that specific rotation. J-Lo, you got more over there for me? Yeah,
that the tornado index that we were telling you is up to a 7. Nearly a 7. And when I was going back over the loop just a minute ago, looking at the CC correlation coefficient, basically, we look at this and it gives you over the loop here. Look how all of a sudden when the storm went through, when you get shades of blue starting to show up, a drop, and we were seeing that bit more on the different radar out of Louisville, it was showing at least the potential there for some debris. Let me switch radar sites and you can see it a little bit more clearly, or going back over to the Jackson radar, and then we'll look at the CC inside the storm. You see the blue there? Okay, so over time, yeah, I know it's a lot of strange colors here, but if you follow the scale, it goes from rain, and then when you start seeing blues, that's an indication the radar is finding something else, not raindrops, something else that could be flying, and that's what we're talking about. We have likely some debris here, whether it is from a tornado or from straight line winds, most likely a tornado. It could be weak, it could still be on the ground, but we've got that signature, and it's heading near, again, northeast side of Richmond, and it's moving east. So our friends watching us here, this is going to be northern Estill County, all right? You're going to be crossing the river. You get over into western Powell County. They have not extended this warning, okay? They've not extended this. Let me go back into live mode. But this storm is still, definitely still has the capability of producing a tornado, or there could still be an actual tornado on the ground. Not sure if they got any confirmation on that?
Not confirmation at this time, but there has been storm reporters or storm chasers that have reported elevation aloft.
Elevation aloft.
So that's the only thing that we have so far. No confirmed, no damage reports at this time.
Well, listen, we root for no damage, that is for sure. We're looking at this storm that still has the capability of producing a tornado moving eastbound. This is outside of Richmond now. And Justin was calling out those communities that are in there. We're talking about it's on top of Union City now. If there is a tornado on the ground, it's Union City, College Hill, off to, it's likely going to pass just north of Moberly and just north of Elliston, but it is very close. So even those areas, I want you into your interior room away from windows. We have a couple of other warnings, not wanting to forget our other viewers that we have out there that are watching us right now in Lincoln County. Let me switch radar sites here and we can look at the storm that's coming your way in Stanford right now. Houstonville, heavy rain there. Yes, there is a tornado warning, seeing more in the way of straight line winds that obviously still can do some damage, okay? We look very broad. This is when we were showing you the difference between the warning that's going through Madison County and the one that's coming now into Lincoln County. You see how there's some greens and there's reds, okay, on the velocity picture, but they're not really next to each other. They are really spaced out. Doesn't mean that there couldn't be a spin-up tornado here, but the signature is a little weaker, but we still, Houstonville to Stanford. Stanford needs to, everybody in northern Lincoln County needs to be lowest floor of your home. Your basement, if you have it, or a storm cellar or a shelter underneath ground is your obviously best place. That second best place is the lowest floor away from windows, interior room. Another warning we have for you, this is not a tornado warning, but this storm also today has had the history of producing, again, some at least gusty winds or at least some rotation. This is the storm that's going through now eastern Bath County, our friends there, and going over into now Rowan County. So this is very what we would call, again, broad rotation, mainly straight line winds, but there could be a spin-up tornado in this type of environment that happens on the leading edge of these storms that can happen in a hurry, and that's why they are putting on a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings what they say tornado possible. So Moorhead, Lakeview Heights, on top of already Salt Lick, this is going to keep moving off to the east, and I'll put a track on that, and then we'll go back to the tornado warning down in the Richmond area. This storm is moving east. Let me reset that there for you. It is moving east at about 40 miles an hour. And so that's going to take this particular storm further off into the, again, southern and eastern parts of Rowan County. But the big storm, though, is the one that's definitely off to the west here in southwest that is running its way through Madison County. Honestly, not really sure why the Weather Service in Jackson has not extended this warning to go over into Estill County. But when I still look at the rotation here on the storm and even the shear product, I mean, we still have a capability of a tornado touching down there, and it's about to go outside of the warning area. So I'm just telling people in Irvin, Ravenna, and north of that, Irvin and Ravenna north up to the river, Kentucky River, and work our way up to Stanton and right along the Mountain Parkway. Everybody in there. Everybody there in northern Estill and even over into Powell County, northeastern Madison County needs to be into your safe place. Here is some good news, though, okay? When I look at this and I go back to the radar picture, the potential tornado-producing storm has now moved out of Richmond. And I think our newsroom is obviously making calls to see if there's any damage reports out of the Richmond area or nothing yet. So that's good to hear. But we saw that drop there, Justin, on CC, and more times than not, it is at least picking up some sort of debris or something that's different than a raindrop. So that'll be something we'll definitely watch. Have you heard anything in the Weather Service chat?
There's not been anything new on that storm specifically. We've still got a lot of other stuff going on across the area at this time as well. While we hold on to that, and we are anticipating something gets expanded, if it's not a tornado warning, at least a severe thunderstorm warning further on from that storm in Madison County. I'm going to run through the rest because we've got a lot coming in behind. One note for those in Richmond, you're not completely in the clear even if that storm capable of producing a tornado has moved on, because we've still got the main line crossing portions of central Kentucky. So anticipate more, at least heavy rain, maybe some hail, maybe some wind coming your way, even if that storm has moved on. All right, let's go through one more time and check these other ones. Not to leave our friends way down south out of this, but in places of Pulaski County as well as Wayne County, very southern Pulaski County, more towards Burnside than in Somerset. We've still got a severe thunderstorm warning there for you until 3 o'clock. That's another 8 minutes. They may extend the time because it is moving rather slow at this time, 30 miles an hour to the east. Still capable of producing some of those stronger winds and some of that heavy rain. If we look at velocity for this system right now, there is a tiniest bit of rotation in there, and we can't rule out the potential for that one to continue to increase. The environment is set for that kind of theme here the rest of this afternoon. So keeping an eye, you need to be in your safe place if you are in southern parts, of Pulaski County and northern portions of Wayne County at this time. And I mean really far northern Wayne. This is north of Monticello even at this time. Zooming back out for us because we've still got plenty of other warnings to quickly touch on. Again, our friends way down in southeastern. Okay, we're going to pause on that here for a moment because we did get that tornado warning expanded there just outside of Madison County, now going in over towards Estill County. Let's put up the radar for us here. Storm relative, I wanted out of I pushed the wrong button. One moment, please. Storm relative out of Jackson. They did upgrade this here quite a bit. Moving it further. That theme doesn't look as great, but still between College Hill, Elliston, Moberly, and Union City, there's still some rotation in that mix, but they have pushed this even out all the way through now. We have a new tornado warning for Powell County at this time, and that is going to continue to work here in very far northern portions of Estill County until now 3:30 p.m. Likely moving at the same speed, about 35 to 40 miles an hour, but everybody from Irvin to Stanton and everything in between needs to be inside their safe place at this time. We've got that tornado warning being expanded, and in fact, we've got a lot of updates coming in as the latest things pop up here. Southern portions of Clark County have now been included in a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:30, likely because that rotation is more on the southern half of this box at this time. Right here, you can see it at the southern edge of that box in Madison County, still about to cross into northern Estill and central parts of Powell County. And then the southern portions of Clark have been attached for wind gusts that could be upwards of 60 plus miles an hour and some large hail. A quick zoom out to show you that we are also getting portions of Garrett County as well as the rest of Lincoln County and Madison, southern portions now of Madison County down towards Berea are in a severe thunderstorm warning. We saw where that tornado warning was. That was in portions of western Lincoln County. Now, the rest of Lincoln County has been into a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:30, and that expands all the way through. And we're getting the rest of these updates to come in here attached to where we have our strongest storms, likely the strongest rotation, and those strongest wind gusts. J-Lo, you got more for us?
Yeah, we have a video that we're going to show you. This was from Missy Gall in the Richmere, and she was looking north at the storm there, and you can hear the tornado sirens going off, obviously, there. But when you look at the video, you see some scud clouds. That's the low, dangling types of clouds that look really ominous, hanging down from the base of that. Not seeing a well-defined wall cloud here, but still something. I mean, obviously the whole cloud in itself is very ominous in general, but not seeing, at least from that vantage point, a funnel cloud or a tornado. But that same storm is the one that we are still tracking, the storm of the hour here, or storm of the day so far. We've got numerous storms that are out there, and the radar definitely looking quite messy, okay? This is not a well-defined squall line that's marching east. We've got individual storms that are ahead of a broken line of storms that's west, which is the storms here that have moved into an atmosphere a little more favorable for these storms to work with, which is why we've likely seen an area that has formed potential tornado down to the south here, coming out of eastern parts of Madison County. Still showing that hook. You see that bit of a notch here. That is the radar obviously detecting what we have as an inflow. I'll draw it on there for you. You can see that's the winds that are being pulled into the storm. And on the backside, we see how the rain kind of wraps back in. So that little notch there are the winds creating the rain to do this in this form and shape where we could have a tornado. If I look at, we'll turn on the actual velocity, that'll kind of line up with what I was talking about. Right under this twisting of the wind signature here is where we have a possible tornado, and I can put a track on that. We'll clear that off, and I want to show you the actual track because this is going to give us the estimated time that storm is rolling its way off to the east and who it's at least potentially going to be impacting. Stanton and Irvin off to the north in the northern part of Estill County, very rural area. Look at that new radar scan there. I'm trying to get this storm track. There we go. And this storm track is not directly on where the greatest rotation is at the moment. That storm, it's right here, and it keeps moving off to the east. So Stanton and Irvin, I want everybody here from Irvin northward in northern Estill County and over into Powell County to be into an interior room away from windows, okay, until the storm passes on by. Obviously, these communities, if I can drop that off, and I want to draw a storm track myself because that's not lining up exactly where the greatest rotation is. So that storm's moving east. So Fox, this is going to be really on top of you at the moment. Hargett over toward Vaughn's Mill, and then Stanton down the line. That gives you estimated time, but obviously don't wait. Looking at Hargett at 3:05, Vaughn's Mill 3:16, and Tipton Ridge at 3:20, if not sooner than that. I want to look at a couple of other products that we have available for you here. See a little bit of green. This is our rotation detector. You can see a little bit of it showing up there, but I still don't think it just has the greatest, obviously, handle. But this is a 1 hour track. You can see how the rotation went and really ramped up in northern Madison County, just north of Richmond, and made its way eastbound. Now, even though it shows that it's getting weaker, these storms can often pulse. They can get strong, they can weaken, and they can just do that oscillation. Strengthening and weakening over, and I think we may be into a strengthening here by looking there at the latest radar. Let me go back. I want to look at the storm relative velocity. Look at this right here. I'll just highlight it to you. I mean, it's just clearly standing out. Right in here, if there is not a possible tornado there, I mean, I still have a lower CC. That tells me that the radar is still seeing something different than your normal shape of a raindrop. And this tool is great to have. I would be shocked myself if there is not some sort of debris or if there's not a tornado here in this zone. I mean, when we look at this, Justin, wouldn't you say the same? When you see a drop in correlation coefficient, I'd really be shocked if we don't have a confirmed tornado. This is a rural area, though, and I want you at home, if you know anybody in northern Estill County, because it's crossing the river right now. It's crossing the Kentucky River. If you know anybody here from Irvin northward, please call them. They may not know. They may be getting home from work. They may be on their way home from voting or on the way to go vote. Same story in Stanton, rural area here. But we still have a lot of people that are watching us in these counties, and we need you down in a basement or the lowest floor of your home. If there is not a tornado there, just by looking at this product alone, I would be shocked. Did you? Anything the Weather Service saying anything, receiving any reports?
It's really light over there. Not a lot of communication coming across from any kind of storm reports at this time. But I mean, like he was just saying there, it would be pretty surprising if we didn't even at least have 60+ mile-an-hour winds coming to the ground and pulling something up. This is the latest velocity scan, again, pointing from Jackson, and it just updated again. It might be a little choppy because of some of the interference coming. We do have other storms that are in the area, so we could be getting blocked by that just a little bit, but still a really strong indication here that we would see some very significant rotation in that spot. Again, the last thing we heard is that there was rotation aloft, or it was elevated. Could mean a funnel, could mean that they just saw the entire storm itself spinning in that area. But with something like this, where we've got such a strong signature, like Justin was just saying, there's a good chance that there is some kind of tornadic activity, or at least the significant winds. A really close look is along Winchester Road from Palmer right down to Hargett, and then further south from Kimbrell. They're off just to the north and east of Hargett. This is coming right towards you. If you're in Fox right now, it's on you at this time. And there is definitely need to be in our safe place. There's no more time to be into the safe place. You need to be there already. I'm going to call it the same way for places in Kimbrell, Hargett, all the way even further south as we get closer to places like Witt Springs there, or even West Irvin. You're still in that box, North Irvin, still in that box, and you have the potential to be seeing this. It could take a turn anywhere within this. Then the general storm motion might be to the east, but Mother Nature does what she wants, especially when we have rotation. It can curl up, curl down. The whole storm could go up or down in any direction, so we need to be watching for that as we go through the rest of this. And really, this is the biggest rotation, the most promising rotation we have overall. Everywhere else, it does look like up near Moorhead and Rowan County, that severe thunderstorm warning has since expired. McCreary and Pulaski counties have seen their thunderstorm warning expire, so we have to keep a closer eye on this. This is our main hotspot right here, and we're just going to keep watching this as we go through. J-Lo, you got something over there? It looks like he has a very good video. Yeah, at least for proof of rotation or something on there. Let's see what he's got.
Did you say this was Chris Clemens, you said? Okay, Chris Clemens sent this in. This was in the Richmond area. You can clearly see the lowering, the base here. I know that it's partially being blocked by a house, but that's a wall cloud. That is a wall cloud we can't see on the other side of the house. This is when it was moving through just north of Richmond, northern Madison County. We were looking at the storm. Say that again. Justin, your mic's open too.
I was just commenting on how that was a wall cloud, like you said. We need to just move that house.
Yeah, if we could just move the house, right? You can't see if there was a tornado on the ground, but
with that signature, again, it could even just be picking up that wall cloud. There's likely that wall cloud itself rotating.
Yes.
So if it might not be spouting to the ground, that is likely the rotation, at least, of what we're seeing on radar.
For sure. And when you look at that CC image, because what I was showing you here, the debris detector, okay, anytime that we see those blues, the radar is looking for, it sees radar, it sees raindrops here, okay, and that's what the uniform shape, okay, so you're getting these uniform colors, but anytime there's a drop there, start seeing those blues showing up, it's some different type of shape that the radar is not used to, okay, basically, that's how a way to explain that. So when we were getting that drop, if it's not from a possible spin-up tornado, the straight line winds could have picked up, again, some trees or leaves, things like that, picked it up and moved it off off to the east. Let me go back to the radar view, and we're going to zoom into the storm that's going now into the northern part of Estill County. I mean, and there is likely some large hail on this too. I mean, like, look how this has really, let me go into look at that. And that could even be what the radar is detecting too, Justin. Yeah. Instead of a bit of a wind, we could be now getting a hail signature, all right? So we still have a Barron tornado index of a 5, so that's a little bit lower, but look at the hail size possible, about 1 3/4 inches in diameter. So a size of quarters is 1 inch in diameter. So you're gonna be bigger than a quarter. You're gonna be looking golf ball size hail, maybe larger than that, going toward Creasy, going toward Hargett, Vaughn's Mill, and Stanton. So this in itself, even without a possible tornado, which we still have that warning, we've got some damaging hail heading east into the northern part of Estill County. So if you're driving south, again, if you're driving across the northern part of Estill County, you're gonna run into that. Now, let me go back to the wind inside the storm here, and I want to show you back our normal product. Bear with me as I'm going through so many things here. The radar definitely looks, the rotation definitely is, it's a messy picture, okay? It's not what it looked like back to the west, and what I mean by that is we have reds and greens next to each other, but they're not pronounced reds over here and pronounced greens over here, okay? It's definitely a messy picture, but we could still, but you also have to take into account we have higher elevation here, higher terrain. It's going to be harder for the radar at times to be able to see some of these on these lower tops when you're getting down with this highest elevation. So anybody in Estill County, Irvin northward, up to Stanton even though I think the rotation is mainly going to cross just north of Irvin and off eventually through the northern part of Estill County, I'd still would like everybody, even in Powell County, to be into an interior room. Quick reset, though. No more tornado warnings besides that one. The one down to the south in Lincoln County was allowed to expire. That is still has the potential to produce some damaging wind gusts there. From Crab Orchard all the way over to Berea here on this northern part and going into Broadhead. So we're talking about Rockcastle County, we're talking about Garrett and over into Lincoln and into southern Madison for winds that could gust up to 60 miles an hour with that storm. And then another one further off to the south. Justin, which storm? Are you still watching the storm going into Estill County now?
Yeah, I was just resetting as well before you pulled that up there just to cover the one that we now have a new warning as well for southern portions of Casey County. So we're getting a few warnings to expire, a few new ones to come in. This whole line, just in general, looking at it, still pretty broken, not super organized, but we have a lot of areas here in south and central parts of the state that haven't been tapped into yet. So as these storms continue to move to the east, we are anticipating this line of storms to continue to have more warnings to it. The latest one does come in now just along Russell Springs. We're getting right along the Cumberland Parkway there. I'm going to try to get a closer view of this just quickly while Chief resets over there. You can see a nice little core signature there, heavy rainfall likely. If we turn the lightning layer back on, we've got that all through. The severe part of the storm is likely just north of Russell Springs and in Russell County, and it is going to continue to move through northern Russell County and into southern Casey County here for us, just south of Liberty. That's till 3:30. It's 3:08 right now, so there's still some time before the stronger portion of that storm gets into central and eastern portions of Russell and southern portions of Casey. So you've got time to get to your safe place. This one, 60-mile-an-hour winds, 1-inch hail, frequent lightning, and heavy downpours to go along with it. So that's the latest that we were checking in on there. I'll back it back up because, of course, we've got that one hot spot right where that tornado warning is that we're going to want to keep a close eye on. Justin did just cover the one that was heading into southern Madison County and also in parts of southern Garrett County. We may see that get extended further as we continue to see it get closer to that I-75 line. But until that comes up, we're going to keep a note and keep an eye on that storm that's right here. Now, we again have a lot of opportunity for hail. Look how dark these purple returns are coming in, that chance for that large hail. But we've still got this little, almost like a lobe here, just like a little growth cell on the side of this where we could be seeing some of that rotation, and I would still suggest, and we still have the tornado warning there, so this is pretty good indication of that there is flow coming in here, and something is trying to come out on that bottom side. So we definitely still have that rotation there. Whether or not it is still pulsing up and down or getting to the ground, not confirmed, but still quite the storm to watch in that location. So let me go ahead and pull up that Jackson radar velocity. This is not storm relative. This is just regular. We're getting so much scatter in here because we're likely getting blocked. There is a couple other storms that are on radar here in between. In fact, one right outside of Jackson. It's very hard to shoot through that with the radar beam and see what's going on here. So we might be a little handicapped on seeing where that rotation specifically is with those products coming out of Jackson. We're going to continue to try to use them, but it's very messy. We've got something blocking it. And just because of that, we know the history of this storm. Anybody that is from Stanton and still in Irvin, you're going to need to be in your safe place because we right now cannot see from our current radar scene in Jackson what is happening there. If we try to go from Louisville, well, we can see the rotation, but this is getting pretty far away, which means that this is probably pretty high in that cloud, which makes it difficult to tell. Yes, it's still picking up rotation, just don't know how close to the ground that is, but we've got the tornado warning there, and we know the history, so stay down and stay in your place. You're not in the clear here by any means in northern parts of Estill and south central parts of Powell County at this time. So we got to keep a closer eye on that. We did just get another update here, it looks like, for portions of Rockcastle and even parts of Jackson County now. So let's try to get you into that and take a peek at that storm. This looks like another one of those 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, maybe some large hail, an inch or greater. It's the same storm that earlier had tornado warnings on it that have since expired. It does look like there's a lot of breaking up, but we're still in that position here today where we could get any kind of brief little spin inside any of the little notches that are in here, and that could, without us even being able to find it on radar, produce a very brief gusty wind or maybe even some quick rotation that could lead to some spinning and a brief touchdown. So areas like this, just south of Crab Orchard to Broadhead there, a notch, something to keep a close eye on here. If I try to pull up some velocity signatures, we've definitely got the strong winds. We can see that in these darker or brighter pinks that are showing up. Those are certainly straight line potential for us. Not seeing a ton of rotation potential in here, at least at this point. And it is, again, just severe thunderstorm warned right now. Once more, that's for Rockcastle County as well as portions of Jackson County now until 4 p.m. So we've got a full 45 minutes and then some for this to come through. So if you're in those areas from Broadhead to Mount Vernon, Sand Gap, Berea, you're still inside this. It's not gotten to you yet. Southern Madison County, still stay alert. Even McKee, you're just outside of that warning box. Livingston, the same on the south side. Still strong storm moving towards you with all that heavy rain. Keep an eye on that. Justin, you got an update?
Yeah, the tornado warning for Madison County has since expired, which is good news, but the tornado warned storm does continue for Estill County and also over into parts of Powell County. But really, even though the rotation is still there, it's a bit weaker than it was. However, we are looking at this really kind of taking over as a big time, even large hail producing storm, which can do damage, obviously, from Kimbrell over into basically Clay City, Stanton area. You've got some hail. I mean, we're talking about hail that could be the size of golf balls moving east right along the Mountain Parkway, Spout Springs, Vaughn's Mill, all in that zone. So when we're looking still at this notch on the southern part of the storm here, that is exactly where we have at least potential rotation on the southern flank of that storm. Still no reports, but I want to look at a couple of other different products here. This definitely is showing large hail on this storm, as I was just mentioning right there, 2 inches possibly in diameter. And by the time you get to 2 inches, I mean, you're talking about larger than golf ball size hail that could be heading right toward Stanton right now. Anybody traveling on that definitely does not want to be traveling in hail the size of golf balls, okay? I think we had another picture that we were going to try to effort to get up that, and this is from Madison County as a storm was coming through. This is from Aaron Pyzik. He is one of our weather watchers, a video actually. Off in the distance, you can see the rain shaft there, but not seeing, at least here, any lowering from earlier that would be well defined. looking north and northwest. And this was as that storm was going through Madison County, or at least the northern part of Madison County, a little bit earlier, okay? So this is where that storm's at now. If there is a tornado, it's going to be north. It's going to be pretty close to, let's say, the Estill and Powell County lines. Let me go back to velocity mode. This is the winds inside the storm. If we have a tornado, if I can show you also at our, going back, this product, the debris detector, is getting a little bit messy compared to what it was earlier. Let me switch products and go back to our rotation. And this is going to show you our shear. So if we have a tornado left, it's definitely much weaker than it was. Let me show you, this is an hour right here. This swath goes back from an hour's time. And you can see how it went back all the way into northern Madison County, north of Richmond, and how when you got the red, that strong rotation. Then now, as it's moving into northern Estill and southern Powell, the rotation has weakened. Not saying that there can't still be a tornado. There's not. That warning goes for a few more minutes here. Let's give you the expiration time. That's until 3:30. So we have 15 more minutes on that tornado warning, and we'll obviously stay with that until that expires. Let me go back to your normal reflectivity mode. Still that notch on the southern side of the storm here, and the radar is going to be having a tough time seeing inside of this to a degree because we've talked about that, the higher elevations here. So we're going to get kind of blocked a little bit by some of the terrain. More storms to the south, though. This storm, this is new, and it's not as severe yet, but we get down into Jackson County near Anvil there. There is some broad rotation on that storm, but it's mainly heavy rain, gusty winds that could be going over 40 miles an hour. That's going to Egypt, Island City, Major, and Augur. You could see the time of arrival there on the right side of your screen. That's going to be coming over toward Shepherdtown, which it's 3:23. So you're talking about less than 10 minutes from now. So several severe thunderstorm warnings. If you widen out the view and just look at the big picture of everything across our viewing area, that other warning down to the south here goes for Madison, and it also goes for parts of Rockcastle County and Jackson County until 4 p.m. Is that the storm that you're watching right now, that storm that's further to the south?
Yeah, I was keeping an eye on that one as it was coming in, and I was also looking one more time back at that storm you were just talking about. I was watching the National Weather Service chat to see if we had any information about some damage in the area. Still no reports on that, but we have an atmosphere that is primed to go ahead and try to take some of these stronger storms that pop up like this, and it's going to sound interesting, but almost split them off. And we're going to start to see that almost a little bit here as our rotation on that storm is breaking more to the south, where we saw that little piece on radar that popped up here. If we go back to this part, this little chunk here could potentially try to pop off of that main cell and go off into its own place and become its own storm, and it's capable of all that rotation. There's the chance of that. So that was one thing I noticed. Here's another thing I dislike on radar is when we've got this gap here, and then there's these little tiny, almost looks like a hole in the radar in the location where we had that rotation. Another indicator we might see a little bit of spinning or tornadic activity in that. But one more time on those storms to the south, because we were keeping focus on those as well. We've got plenty to watch here through parts of Rockcastle as well as Jackson County till 4 p.m. Those moving to the east at roughly 40 miles an hour again, so not crazy fast. But if we throw the let's see what, I don't think the Barron track had anything, so we'll put our own little draw on here. Berea, you're finally getting that severe storm right now. Mount Vernon, you have a cell to your south and a cell to the north, but still rain possible right in the middle. Let's just go ahead and draw a timer on this here, 40 miles an hour at the fastest. That's if they're going at the full speed. They've kind of been going back and forth between 30 to 40 miles an hour here. We're looking at, in the next 10 minutes or so, Sand Gap, McKee by 3:45-ish. Beattyville not till just after 4 o'clock, but there are no warnings in Beattyville, Vincent, or Island City at this time. We're going to keep watching if those come in, but still, we've got severe thunderstorm warnings just to your west, and they're moving towards you, so anticipate them to at least be on the stronger side as they come in. We had one more that was further to the south as well that we had to keep the eye on here for parts of Russell County as well as portions of Casey County, and that is until 3:30 p.m., something to keep an eye on for us as well. That is moving at the same speed to the east. So we may see another one come in for Pulaski County here as that moves closer into that area, filling that severe thunderstorm in. Again, like Justin was just saying, there's a couple other storms independent from the whole line that we're seeing. They're developing all over the place here in southeastern Kentucky. There's one way down in Harlan County. That's just outside of our viewing area at this time, but that one is also going until 3:30. It's standalone by itself, producing some large hail and some gusty winds. So let's take you back into that storm that's just outside of the warning. And you can see that there is just some heavy rain and some lightning associated with that. A couple more little cells trying to pop up. But again, disorganized in the grand scheme of things. Just a couple of storms strong enough to get going here. Let's go back to that storm that was producing some issues from Estill and parts of Powell County. Now we can see that that lobe that we were talking about, that area where we had that rotation, there is what looks like some split taking place there, which could mean a couple of things. One, it's pulling that circulation away and broadening it enough from the main cell to cut off any of that rotation as it tries to work to the ground. It could also be trying to go off and form on its own type of spinning, rotating storm if it can grab some juice from areas that haven't been touched yet. So this storm is still capable of giving us a little headache here as we go through the rest of this afternoon. Of course, the history of it itself has held tornado warnings onto it for the past hour or so as it went through Madison County and now through Estill and Powell. So that's the main thing that we still want to keep a good focus on. Chief, do you have any other updates for us? It doesn't look like we have any other new warnings at this time, so we're kind of babysitting, especially that tornado warning here. Any good rotation signatures or anything like that you might be tracking in on that?
Still just looking at that storm, as you were mentioning, that's the only one right now that at least has still some rotation left along with it. It is, and that rotation is, we'll zoom back in, and if you take that full, I'll eventually zoom in a little bit closer. See how broad this is right here? There's a little bit of red still left in there and also green. So still have indication that we have some rotation with that storm that's now crossing. It's riding really right along Estill County and Powell County lines. And so that's going to keep moving east. And here are some estimated times of arrival that rotation is going along. We're looking at Vaughn's Mill. You can see right there, that's going to be in your neck of the woods at 327 as it keeps going down toward the Stanton area at 335 and Roslyn at 338 over towards Slade community. That's also in Powell County. That goes until 345. So I'm going to step in front of the BAM here. It gets a little bit larger so you people can see it from home. Still showing a Barron tornado index on that storm. We'll get a new update, new scan here in a minute. That's at a 4. So that number, when you start getting up 3s and 4s and 5s, earlier it was at a 6. When that scale gets up to at least 6, and a lot of research by this indication, this index, there has at least been a weak tornado, at least when the radar has shown a tornado signature of a 6 or higher. We had that at one point in northern Madison County. So Furnace, again, you need to be in your safe spot, even though this is not strong rotation. I mean, any rotation could spin up a tornado, especially when we're having a harder time getting a clearer picture inside of this storm. Let me kind of clear off the view here one more time. You have a video? Braden, Delaware sent this in. Do you know where this video, this was in Richmond. Let me look closely here. I think that's the Gates Nissan. So you're looking on the bypass, the Richmond bypass, okay? That is definitely a wall cloud, and that was from earlier as the storm was moving just north of downtown Richmond. So around the bypass, this was looking north toward that lowering wall cloud. If we come back on screen, if you can take it in the band behind me, I can kind of draw for you here what I'm talking about. We would look on that video. Is there a way that we can get that? Maybe not. May not be able to get that on behind me in front of the BAM. Okay, so you can see this is a lowering. So this is a wall cloud. The base is lowering down. But again, we've got trees that are here, so we can't see behind that earlier if there was a funnel or if there was an actual tornado that was on the ground. But the wall cloud is that first sign that we are looking at least rotation, the whole storm rotating. And then after that is when we could have potentially had a tornado. Justin?
And that's typically a good indicator when we had those really tight rotation signatures on velocity, when we had those greens and reds that were really close together, and we had some really bright colors on both sides of those. When we had that is likely an image that we saw when it was very tight, the best chance that we had to see that tornadic activity. Now, when we look at that storm now, and we try to get a little bit of that rotation on there, there's not a good indicator from it that is continuing at this time. We could still have some kind of low-hanging wall cloud in there, but this is very choppy, probably because there's some interference. Then we've got elevation problems too. It's not a good indicator when we see that wall cloud whether or not they will be able to use specifically that video to say, maybe I can extend this warning. They're going to continue to watch this radar scene here to see how that rotation continues to work up. And the atmosphere's got everything it needs to keep some spinning going. So as long as we have some greens and reds, even when it's scattered like this, if they have eyes on it with spotters, they'll be able to make a better prediction and be able to use that to maybe issue warnings or not. But I would suggest at this time that they'll at least hang on to it, specifically to the end of that warning. But if we get this on the other side of some interference and we still have that rotation, whether it's broad or tight, they'll likely take that indicator as an extension and keep that warning going. It's hard to really tell on velocity at this time whether or not we're still seeing an image like that in this area. It's possible that velocity and the radar isn't picking that up well, but J-Lo's got a really good view there on his radar scene right now, indicating that we probably do have some kind of wall cloud or at least a notch in the radar that could lead us to another chance for some tornado activity.
Yeah, here at 326, still you see that clear, well-defined hook on the southern side, southwestern part of that storm, and it's riding right along. This is Estill County line. Here's Irvin. Irvin, you're safe. You can come out of your safe place. This is well east of you now. Stanton, we've got that tornado warning that has been extended now, but we did just get a report and from the Sheriff's Department in Madison County that on Red House Road, the only damage so far they heard was from a couple of trees that were down, okay? Nothing more than that at the moment, but that's something that we've gotten in northern Madison County, and that was from this storm earlier as it was moving just barely north of Richmond, worked into Estill County. Now it's in Powell. Thankfully, the hail core, at least the signature on that, has dropped off, but boy, was it intense earlier. Could still be getting some small hail just south of Stanton, but some rotation still going. New tornado warning goes for Wolfe County till 4:15. It also includes the northern part of Lee County till 4:15. And again, it goes for the rest of Powell County till 4:15. And that's for that part of the storm. Let me put a track on here. This part of the storm, if there is a tornado, it's going to be right here where we have that hook or that notch on the southern flank. So I'll draw this for you. And this is going to give us it's kind of hard to do this on this tablet. So it's moving off to the east at about 40. So here's some smaller communities again. Rotation could be headed toward Furnace within it's now, okay? So Pilot 332, Standing Rock 3, almost 340, Leco at 340, Zachariah at 341, and then down the line you're going to be looking at Rogers at 344. So yeah, these are some smaller communities, but when you get in rural areas like this, and you obviously don't have as many highly populated cities, some of our outlying areas are where we're going to still obviously find people living. So you know these geographic points compared to where you live. So everyone here in this path, basement, interior room, away from windows. So if you don't have a basement, you go into that interior room away from windows until the storm passes. Here at the station, on one of our weather cameras there, I can see up the Somerset camera. Boy, is that wind really picking up down there on that storm. But that is with the storm that is producing at least severe thunderstorm. I actually have that weather camera here that I'm going to pull up down to the south in Somerset, and this is going to show you what it looks like down to the south here. Look at that wind just shaking the camera. Just sheets of rain that are blowing in there right now. Definitely, you can see the trees just kind of bending over. Severe thunderstorm warning in parts of Pulaski County, including Somerset here, until this storm obviously passes on by. So that portion of the storm, if we go south, that severe thunderstorm warning, you can see it's for this storm here that's going right along 80. So we're talking about US 80, and it's going to keep rolling on off to the east. No hail there, but definitely some gustier winds. So that picture you were just seeing there is what it's going to look like in several of these thunderstorms as we go throughout the day. I want to go back and show you that camera down to the south again here in Somerset. Looks like the rain is starting to lighten up a bit, but we're looking off to the west and northwest, and you can still see some pretty ominous looking clouds there. Let's look at our station camera here real quick while we've got you. We're looking off to the west here too, but things are calmer in Lexington as we go over into Paris too. This is just going to show you another storm coming through there. This one's not severe, but definitely a heavy rain producing storm as we look across the area. These cameras are great to have. Now we're looking at down in London. This is our last one, not one down in Cumberland Falls yet. Any storms, we'll look at that one in a minute. But we're looking west, and this is for the storm that is back over Somerset now. So this gives you a different vantage point of the storm that's going to be heading your way. Justin, what are you seeing on the storm back up in Madison County?
We've got a few different areas that are of great interest for us here. That storm in Madison County is still looking relatively strong, and that hook that is on this cell is still very well defined and is of concern for us. So Furnace, it's on you right now. Knowlton, same story. Pilot, it's coming your way at this time. And really everything from Slade down even through Glencairn, Standing Rock, Leco, some smaller cities and areas here, Zachariah, Torrent, Rogers, Pine Ridge are all in the line of where this thing is coming towards here. And that's where we're seeing the potential for that possible rotation, maybe that tornadic activity. There was a couple of scans where we had it open up here as we went through where it was a little bit more well-defined. Now is once again, as we look at it, it's very messy because we've got interference coming in. As we get closer to the Jackson radar here, we're going to continue to see the potential for some of that interference, but still some returns on there that we're going. And I would say, as we've been talking about it here, like Justin has also said as well, if there is any potential of a tornado, it is right in. My clicker is breaking on me a little bit here. It is right inside where we've got that notch, this part right here. So Furnace, it's coming through. High Rock Road is kind of riding along there, and it's going to go right over Pilot next. So be aware, please be in your safe place if you are in line of this storm. Pilot Road, High Rock Road, even South Fork Road, all the way over to, I believe that is Sand Lick Road. So it's coming right through, and it's going to continue to move there. And this is the area that we could be seeing, like that video we saw earlier. Maybe there's some lower hanging clouds, potentially a wall cloud, definitely some rotation showing here, even just on the radar scene itself. And then just north of that, we've got that really strong hail core that is now moving towards Slade too. So some gusty winds on the front edge of that, some potentially large hail to go along with it. This storm has been the one to watch as it continues to have the rotation element. It has that hook element, and we've got multiple warnings now as some of these lines start to congeal a little bit more. As we zoom out, we're pretty much covering all of south central parts of Kentucky with some kind of severe thunderstorm warning. Justin, are you ready to run through these? You want me to run through these one time real quick?
Yeah, I'm ready to roll.
Go ahead, let's send it over there.
As you were mentioning with that storm, as it keeps moving east here, it's had the history, obviously, of showing rotation going all the way back into Madison County, and it really even kind of started in Jessamine County. So over time, even though we haven't had a report of more than just a few trees down, we've seen that wall cloud. So that means the atmosphere is at least capable of producing tornadoes today, more isolated, not widespread, but still, I mean, all it takes is one. Obviously, we're watching that one that's in Powell County going over into Wolfe County. But really look at this Boeing segment on this storm that is coming out of into northern Jackson County here. You could see it's almost really kind of like a broken line, so to speak, that starts up in southern Estill, goes down just east of Sand Gap, and all the way back down to Mount Vernon here. And so this little notch there, if we look at the the velocity, I should say, within that storm, you're going to see some really strong winds here, where you get the brighter shades of some green or some blue shades. We probably got some gusts in northern parts of, or even in Jackson County, it could be easily over 60 miles an hour.
There is actually a 70-mile-an-hour wind tag on that warned storm that you are on right now that the National Weather Service just issued. So that whole area you're pointing out has 70-mile-an-hour capable straight line winds in it at this time.
So more than like the earlier ones were only at 60 miles an hour. These are straight line winds capable of producing 70 plus mile per hour. So when you get 70 mile per hour winds, obviously that's destructive, or it can be destructive. So when you get winds that are that strong, you need to be inside and treat this like we could be dealing with a weak tornado, okay? Because 70 mile per hour plus winds can bring down trees. Those trees could fall in your home. Those trees can even fall and knock out windows inside your home. So you need to be interior room down here. Jackson County, next in line will be Lee, Owsley, and even as we go a little bit further south, another portion of the storm that goes out of Rockcastle County and over into northern Laurel. So several storms here kind of lining up. If I reset and just show you, we had these individual storms that are popping out ahead of the line, and that still is happening. But what we are looking at is now the broken line kind of taking a little bit more shape than it was. If you live back here in Lexington, if you live in Paris, if you live in Georgetown, Nicholasville, Versailles, Harrodsburg, if you live into portions of Anderson County and you're working your way back here into even parts of Boyle County, let me switch radar. And the reason I'm calling all those areas out, those areas are done with the severe threat. Okay, all those areas that I just called out done with severe threat. Basically, the severe threat is along I-75 and back down toward Somerset, the Cumberland Parkway in south and southeast. And the main storm that we're still watching is obviously the one that is tornado warned, and that's for this storm here that's riding along the Mountain Parkway and going out of Powell County now, and it's going to be crossing very soon over into the western part of Wolfe County. And this is where we are watching. We've got a track on it. Justin, if you'll notice here, the latest BTI is back up to near a 7. On the storm that's coming out of Powell County and going up into Wolfe County. Okay, so that's our in-house data. The radar is scanning the storm, looks at the storm, searches and scans the data and says this has still the capability of producing a tornado. Do we have one on the ground? Not one that's confirmed, but the reason that the warning's still out is because the storm has a capability that it could put down one in a short amount of time. Too short for you to get to a safe place. So now is, again, your time, Slade and Campton even, down the line. Look at these smaller communities here. High Falls, 353, Campton, 356, Vortex at 4, Stillwater, 402, and Baptist at 403. And we're at 337 now. So that storm is moving east here at about, let's see, the forward movement it's showing, this was saying that it was now slow to an eastward movement of only about 30 to 35 miles per hour. Was that the latest speed that they gave in that new warning, Justin, for the tornado warning?
That latest tornado warning, let me find it here. There's a lot of chat coming across. 35 miles an hour still is what they had on that latest tornado warning.
So that was lining up pretty close to what our radar was saying. So that tornado warning till 4:15 for Wolfe County. That also includes the northern part of Breathitt County. That's not including the city of Jackson. And it also includes northern Lee County, not including Beattyville. It includes Powell County, no longer including Stanton. You've just been trimmed out of that. You just saw the rotation. If there is any tornadoes still left here, I'm going to take you down and zoom in even closer. I've been mentioning the Mountain Parkway. We'll zoom in even closer again. We're talking rural area here. So Rogers, Torrent, these have been small communities that Justin and I have been mentioning. Pine Ridge, High Falls, and Campton. torrent, again, we'll zoom in even closer. Some of the roadways here, you're going to be getting down to Zachariah. The road names will start popping up. You're talking about Big Andy Ridge. You're going to be talking about Smith Road. If we go up further up to the north, you're going to be looking at the main road here that goes Natural Bridge Road. So that's going from Slade all the way working its way down out of parts of Powell County over into Wolfe County. So all of those small areas from Mountain Parkway all the way down into extreme northern parts, if we kind of reset here, northern Lee, all needs to be lowest floor of the home. So that's the one tornado warning. We've got less than 45 minutes left on that. About 40 minutes, 35 minutes rather, and we're going to be watching other storms that are to the south here. I want to keep a close eye on a few of these others. Our friends that may be watching us right now coming, let's see, this is going to be northern parts of Clay County. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning for Owsley, also for Clay, also working into northern Leslie and into parts of Breathitt and northern Perry. And that's for this storm. It has broad rotation as well. And some of these storms today, they're being issued with the Weather Service saying tornado possible, meaning that in situations when we get lines of storms like this moving east, you can get a spin-up tornado on the leading edge of some of these straight line wind events that a tornado can happen quickly. And that's why they're saying that there's enough rotation that a tornado can happen in a short amount of time, but not to the degree that they go tornado warning. That's what we're looking at. That's still for Powell County and over into Wolfe County till 4:15. Look down to the south. I want to review our storms for our friends down here while we still got you that are coming out. Let me go back to your regular reflectivity view. This part of the storm is definitely becoming more ragged. Doesn't mean that it doesn't have some gustier winds, but just west of Somerset, about to move back in. Another gusty thunderstorm there that's likely having some winds 50, maybe 60. And then another one that's down here in the northern part of McCreary and northern part of Whitley County. So several warnings that we are tracking all across our viewing area. But again, if you're Lexington, if you're Nicholasville, if you're Versailles, if you're Paris and Georgetown and Cynthiana and Carlisle and back to Harrodsburg and Danville and even into Liberty, severe threat is over. Justin?
Yeah, and I've got a couple of reports coming in too from the newsroom, and then we've got some coming through the National Weather Service. The history of this storm so far. This was in Stanford here for us earlier around 2:55 p.m. This was reported. You can see it says that there was a tree and power line down on Danville Avenue between Portman Ave and Maxwell Street. We've got a couple other reports of some stuff down as well in Berea. I believe it was Mount Vernon Road. There was a lightning pole struck, or there was a pole struck by lightning now on the roadway, potentially on top of a vehicle, or at least stopping the traffic from going across that road from the area that we saw that severe thunderstorm go earlier with those wind gusts coming through. So some more storm issues will come in, more reports will come in. We've got 2 reports of a tree down on Red House Road we told you about earlier. That was 241. So these are the areas that have seen this line of storms come and go, and we're now getting some of the damage reports in from that. And we're going to obviously continue to see and hear probably some more trees and things down and other issues as we go through it. I wonder if we can maybe, I'm going to see if I can't pull up the power outages map for us, see if we have any of that ongoing for it currently across the area. To see who has the power outage by county, if we can take a look at it here. And that is what we've got now on here if we're looking through parts of Madison County. We've got 400 customers reported without power. As we continue to look towards Rockcastle County, 2,000. There in Lincoln County, about 100. And then, of course, as we look closer down towards, I believe that is Clay County, we've got about 100 people. So expecting to see more of those issues as we go through. This storm is still moving along. We'll put the warnings and the lightning back on there. We've still got the severe thunderstorm warnings producing 70-mile-an-hour wind gust potential. We've got that tornado warning still in place, and we've got to hold on with that as we continue to go through this afternoon, because that's the area that we've seen a history of wall clouds, a history of rotation. Now moving again with still getting a little notch in here. Got this little lobe coming off of it. The storm relative velocity has been a little shaky as of late. There must be a lot of interference from that site. It's also getting pretty close to it now, too, so it could actually even be shooting underneath it a little bit if we're getting too close, of course, but we've got very, very spotty velocity returns on there. So as we continue to look through here, we've got a couple other storms that might have a little bit of rotation in them that we could peek at as well. These coming through portions here of Owsley County as well as Clay County. We've got it into Perry, Breathitt, Leslie, and Perry County again there. I missed that little notch, but that is until here 4:15 p.m. That one's still capable of producing 60+ mile-an-hour winds. Not seeing any tight rotation or even much rotation at all from the Jackson radar site into that storm at this time. So a lowering of rotational velocity is a good sign here for us, at least in terms of seeing anything organized like what we had earlier, but still the chance for a couple quick in-between scans even, especially in some of those areas where we've got notches in the radar. So we're going to want to keep an eye close on that as well. I'm going to continue to monitor for some damage reports coming out of this. This is pretty unorganized stuff. When we've got storms out ahead of the main line, they kind of draw juice away from the line that is coming in. Eventually they're going to catch up and they could morph together. Once they organize, if they organize when they come together, we could see some very strong wind gusts come out of that, or if one of the storms steals the other's energy, what we could get is a quick burst of rain or wind as that storm breaks down. That's also why we have some of these thunderstorm warnings that could be upwards of 70 miles an hour, and you want to treat that as if it is a tornado warning because those winds can really knock stuff around. But nothing's getting unorganized here through parts of Pulaski County. New thunderstorm warning just popped up as we speak for portions of Knox County as well as Whitley, southern Laurel County as well. This goes until 4:30 p.m. for this new little cell that is starting to develop there, heading right towards the town of Corbin at this time. There, we got it now. And that's going to continue to move into there. So an active line of storms, spotty in organization, but still a lot to continue to watch here as we go through. I think there's one other one that just popped up as we were talking through some of these. And again, this is areas that haven't tapped into yet. These storms haven't gotten there. So anticipating to see as this whole line moves a little bit closer, the atmosphere may get a little excited out ahead of that. It might catch some of that forcing before the main band gets there, and it sprouts some of these stronger storms out ahead of it. This one here is moving in a little disorganized, but it is for portions of Breathitt County now in eastern and northeastern Breathitt County as well as Magoffin County until 4:15. This smaller little cell, more rural, just outside of where our center Jackson radar beam is at this time, where that tornado warning is also moving too. Justin, you've got some more info for us over there. It looks like you've got the broader view. Why don't we run through these one more time, maybe take a look outside some of our tower cams as well.
Yeah, we're looking at the one here at our home view in Somerset right now. The rain is definitely let up compared to what it was just a few seconds ago. This is from that secondary storm that is rolling through Pulaski County. There is a severe thunderstorm warning on this, but it is definitely the strongest part of it has just now moved through the Lake Cumberland area, which is just right along US 27 running through Somerset. Now, this is back in Lexington, but I want to show you our legacy camera. This is Legacy Nissan in London, and you'll look at the gray, the dark sky here. We're about to get that storm that's to the west and to the northwest moving in back into the London area. So we'll kind of go through a whole view. Let's look at 4 of our cameras that we've got out there right now. You can see Somerset, some rain, dry but ominous looking, obviously with the storm nearby London. Paris, you're still just getting rain, but nothing severe there anymore, remember. And then the much drier looking radar, or picture, I should say, as we're looking here into Lexington. If I go back to the radar view, though, I want to show you those storms again. Still the one tornado warning for that's going to be for Wolfe County and extreme eastern parts of Powell County. I'm going to take you back into live mode, and we're going to zoom in a little bit closer to that storm as it keeps working its way off to the east. Still a bit of a notch there on that northern part of the storm. If we kind of reposition this, there's a bit of appendage here, that bit of a hook. So quite quite a bit of lightning showing up with this storm as well. So sometimes lightning can be an indication where we actually may have a stronger updraft inside that storm. So something that, I mean, this storm really hasn't lost overall its intensity, but what it has, now again, something else that's happening, we were talking about the radar, there is rain over top of the radar here, okay? You see how there's that donut hole, well, the radar can't see above it, so that's why it's kind of showing up as like nothing's there, but there is a storm that's going over it, and so that can kind of somewhat blind the radar a bit, but still getting some rotation, and it looks like they have replaced or are going to replace this portion of the storm with a severe thunderstorm warning that is newly issued for portions of Wolfe County until 4:15. And that goes, obviously, it's 3:48, so we're looking at less than 30 minutes left on that storm as it keeps moving toward Campton. And it could produce damaging wind gusts there on the order of, let's say, at about 60 miles an hour, maybe a little bit stronger. Let's look here. It's definitely looking a lot weaker, more ragged than definitely what it was earlier. And that may be why. Have they actually canceled the warning?
The warning is not canceled at this time, but that severe thunderstorm warning that they just put out is now having a considerable hail threat tag on it. 1.75 inches on that hail core. And that's something we were watching with the history of the storm as it was developing. Now that it's gotten a little more rugged, and now he's got it up there on the hail thing too, it's gotten a little bit more rugged in the rotation, but that hail core has been there for quite some time. And they're now suggesting that the hail size is going to be more of the threat as this comes in.
And that's probably why that they went, at least with this new portion of that, as a severe thunderstorm warning, because that's where they've drawn that box there to go more for that. I'm really starting to lose, at least the radar is starting to lose at least the potential that this has much, if any, rotation that's still left. Let me look at a couple other, it may look kind of messy to you at home. Let me look at a couple of other features here. Bear with me as I pull through. Look at our shear product. Very, very ragged, okay? So I think our biggest concern is going with this storm now that's crossing over into Wolfe County. So here's Campton. This is the Mountain Parkway here. Is for heavier rain. Still probably some winds that could gust 50 plus miles an hour, but rotation is definitely showing signs that it's becoming more ragged. Even that hook or that little appendage on the back, still some inflow getting in, but it's definitely not as defined as it was. We'll see if they ended up canceling this early and just fully go with severe thunderstorm warning, but that is definitely going more of a heavier rain and that potential for some hail. We were just showing our hail tracker showed that now it was down to maybe the size a half inch. So and they did indeed. The tornado warning has been canceled. So that's great news. But before I send you back to programming, I'm going to go through a quick rundown. Say that again, Mark. Do you have that hail core showing up on Links 1?
Yeah, I've got it up now. You can go ahead and try to prop it up. It's going to be difficult for me to walk on there, so I'm going to try to do it from the computer. But
can you put Links 1 behind me? Or there you go. They have it up.
There you go. So we've got, what we can do is cross-section that storm. That's the one that they're talking about, the potential for 1.75-inch hail, pretty large hail there. This is showing us how high up the core of that storm is going. We've got some orange returns there up to 30,000 feet. The purple returns are between 10 to 20,000 feet in the air. The higher that those stronger returns get is the higher and the stronger updraft we have. It holds those hailstones up there longer when we've got those stronger returns in there. And it's difficult to see. I'll try to even get a little more flat here so you can kind of go through it. But we've got a lot of those returns coming in 10 to 20,000 feet, and we're likely getting temperatures up there too, especially in the thunderstorm, that could be dropping near or below freezing. And that's where we get those hailstones to start to collect raindrops and then pull them down. Once they get too heavy for that updraft, they drop in. So we've got, and it's written by these orange and purple and red lines in there, and that's 20-some thousand feet. That's likely what the National Weather Service looks at to determine what our hail threat is inside of those stronger storms, and that's how they use it as well to get us those readings for what that hail looks like. So quite a bit of a mess here on our satellite and radar with these. We've got boxes in every which direction. The general consensus for all of these warnings, and Justin's going to run down the line with these, and he's also got another one that looks like it's got a little notch in it, but the general consensus is 60 to possibly upwards of 70-mile-an-hour winds on some of these. We've got all these little areas that have these notches, so the potential for some spinning or some brief rotation in there, and they're all going to have the potential to produce some of that larger hail as well. But I think he's got one down there that he really wants to focus on because there might be a little rotation kind of down near the Corbin area. Is that right, Justin?
And that is the storm that we're looking at here on the radar. Severe thunderstorm, and that severe thunderstorm warning goes until, for the northern part of, that's going to be Whitley County and the southern part of Laurel County, and that goes until 4:30. So we're talking about 37 minutes or so left on that warning. It's coming right into Corbin right now as we're looking at that thunderstorm. Lots of lightning with it. There is broad rotation down there, but not to the degree that it is at least drawing my attention for at least a tornado. This is getting a little further away from the radar. But, now that I look at the storm relative, there still is some broad rotation here. And as Justin was mentioning just a moment ago, that each of these storms ahead of the main line here are going into at least still an environment in southern southeastern Kentucky that for the most part has not been kind of worked over by showers and thunderstorms so far this afternoon. So we may, that storm was a tornado tag on it. So severe thunderstorm for Whitley County, and that also goes over, that goes until 4:30. It also goes over into Knox County until 4:30, mainly for damaging wind gusts, but there could be a isolated tornado that pops up. So we did have a track on that. Are those still all moving now at about 40, or is it slowed down? Because it won't tell me on this one, like how fast.
Which county are we looking in right now?
East at 38, so it's at about 40. So where it was showing the rotation earlier, this little polygon is actually a little bit behind that. So where there is a little rotation on the leading edge as this is moving east at about 38. So we'll give you a little lead time there. Woodpine 357, Rosslyn at 405, Dishman Springs 407, and Barberville at 413. So that's for this severe storm where there is at least some broad rotation, something we'll watch. That's again on top of Corbin, heavy rain, maybe even some hail with that storm, and some winds at least 50 to 60 miles an hour, and broad rotation that could quickly, again, lead to a spin-up tornado. Further upstream here, several warnings to go through. Boy, a lot here. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning for Jackson County till 4:30. That goes over into parts of Owsley County, the southern part of the county, until 4:30, but the northern part of the county is under 1 till 4:15. Just numerous. And the more that these pop up and the more they kind of congeal together, that obviously is going to work the atmosphere over more and start to lessen that threat. An area that's not been tapped into today is this storm that's racing east and making its way on through the southern part of Magoffin County outside of Salyersville. Here's Salyersville to the north and down to the south. So southern Magoffin County, and it's moving east, and we'll put a track on that again. Broad rotation there, but it is capable of producing heavy rain, frequent flashes of lightning, which again, lightning is a leading weather killer every year, but again, it does not make a thunderstorm severe. That would need to be winds that are at least about 58 miles an hour or stronger, or hail the size of quarters or larger. And that's what this storm has, is winds that are capable of gusting up to 60 miles per hour. Hail size is about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Where is this picture from? Stanford earlier, so that's going to be back in Lincoln County. Here's a hail picture that you can see there on your screen. Looks like it was some smaller hail, but you could definitely see some of it there on the ground, and winds that were pretty gusty too at that time. That Danville Avenue. So that was in the Stanford area over on Danville Avenue. Justin, do you have something?
There was just a few other reports as well as we're talking about hail. Nickel to quarter size hail covering the ground out of Vaughn's Mill in Powell County. So that was the earlier storm that rolled through, and they've now seen some, and they said it's covering the ground, so quite a bit of hail likely is the image that we are hearing a report from there.
That was the storm when it was over Vaughn's Mill, so that was what we were talking about as it was going back through parts of Estill and Powell counties earlier?
Right.
Okay. All right, so thankfully that part of the storm that we were tracking for so long that started way back in the northern part of Madison County, this is what's left of it now over Campton, okay? Again, the tornado warning expired, but still just was giving you a quick rundown before we go back to programming on all these warnings. I want to look one more time because still has a bit of a notch on the southern side of that, but it is definitely not like it was. Very, very broad, probably more in the way of winds that are more straight line, which obviously still can do some damage. So we're watching all of these, and we were telling you that there were some power outages earlier. Justin was going back through parts of let's see, this was Lincoln County, so it was going over into Rockcastle County was one that was definitely highlighted for a number of power outages that were actually out there, and I can show you those in our toolbar here. We had so many tools on here. But Justin, do you have those power outages still pulled up?
Let me pull those up real fast. We'll flip it over to links 1 if we can. I'll get the power outage total on here. Clear a couple of the things off that I was looking. This is the latest update that I have per county. We'll go ahead and throw a number on this. We've got in the Richmond area there in Madison County, about 400 just south of that. In Rockcastle, still about 2,000. And then we've got 100 in the Lincoln County area. There was one report as well that came out of Lincoln County from earlier talking about a tree that was down over a roadway. Sorry, this was in Casey County. My bad. Let me move over just one more county there. In Casey County, we had a tree down on the 9,000 block of US 127 covering the roadway there. Tree down on the 1,000 block of 78 West in Lincoln County. That one just came over the wire right now. So some of that could be leading to some of this power outages as well as some trees down. So definitely a history of some strong winds coming through those areas as it came through. Oh, okay, bumped the wrong number here. So we'll pull that radar back up so you can see I'll put the warnings back on there as well. All of these storms right now are moving to the east at about 30 to 40 miles an hour. All of them are producing large hail and some gusty winds, and they've got the notches in there for the potential of brief spin-ups. And a couple of these are being trimmed off on the backside. One other thing I want to note for you, too, the latest update that just came out, we had that thunderstorm watch here for us. They're starting to trim those counties off on the back. So areas that are dealing with the severe weather right now, still in that watch till 8. But as these storms go by, we are likely going to see the rest of these counties trickle away on that severe thunderstorm watch tonight. This is pretty much the main event, not expecting any redevelopment behind it. So take note of that. Fayette, Bourbon, Woodford, Scott, Jessamine, Clark, Madison counties starting to be pulled out of that severe threat, almost in the all clear for some of those areas. Here, as we look at radar one more time, Justin's going to run through them here, and then we'll know who has got to deal with the rest of this afternoon.
Okay, thanks, Justin, for that update there on those power outages, too, and those other storms. This is just the big picture before we go back to programming, since we don't have any more tornado warnings at the moment, only severe thunderstorm warnings. Still treat those as if it can do damage and go inside your home, away from windows until the storm passes. But a number of warnings, and the one that has produced at least the most damaging wind gusts where we've likely have seen those power outages is for this storm here, because we had about 2,000 customers in Rockcastle County currently without power, and it's from that storm here that has worked into northern Laurel and over into southern Jackson County. That's likely one of our stronger storms. That severe thunderstorm warnings for Clay till 4:30, for Laurel County till 4:30, and also for the southern part of Jackson County till 4:30. So that's for that storm. Out ahead of that, as we go back down through several of these, another severe thunderstorm warning that is ongoing. This one is in the extreme southern part of Breathitt County. And it also goes over into portions of, again, that is the northern tip of Perry County here till until 4:15. So northern parts of Leslie and Perry right here will put a little storm track. This storm has the capability of producing a very heavy rain. Look at all the lightning here showing up at that storm near Gaze Creek, Barwick, Dice, and over toward Krypton at 4:14. So again, a number of warnings, and the last stop's going to take us to the south here as we're looking down into the storm that really went through Corbin. Likely has hail with this, maybe upwards of the size of quarters that just moved through Corbin, and it's working its way off to the east. So a severe thunderstorm warning for Knox County and also northern Whitley, which that storm has now exited Whitley. That's till 4:30 for northern Knox. So a number of warnings, but back to the west, these storms that are rolling through northern Wayne and back over into Pulaski County, these are not severe at the moment, and nor are the storms. I want to talk to our friends here that have been watching through all this too, that are through Owensville and Flemingsburg and Mount Sterling, now down to Stanton. Stanton, you can rest easy. The tornado warning from earlier is over. None of this is severe. It is likely in an area it's just going to be rain, and that watch back to the west has been trimmed off. We appreciate you so much for choosing us for your weather information. We are going to have a full recap of weather if we don't have to break back in. If we don't, we'll see you at 6:30. For meteorologist Justin Esterly, I'm Chief Meteorologist Justin Logan. We'll be with you through the day. Watches and warnings will also continue to scroll at the bottom of your screen.